we're here to talk about our most anticipated Xbox One games of next year. Some of these throughout the show today. For those watching live, we're going to be kind of crisscrossing between platforms. So some of these won't be Xbox One exclusives. They might be, PS4, PC, but we're kind of like divvying them up. And then these breakouts will not go up until like the 22nd, I think, when we actually start, doing our most anticipated stuff on the site. Anyway, Xbox One, I have Scalebound first. Scalebound was that demo at E3 was kind of funny for all of us, just between the jargon that. Okay, so the main character's name is Drew. So it's from Platinum Games, of Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance fame. They're also working on Nier Automata, which we're getting into later in the PS4 segment. This dude Drew is working with a dragon Tubin. I don't know how to pronounce it completely. But we watched the demo at E3, and you're just fighting this massive boss, kind of like a Devil May Cry / Bayonetta, taking
Last
on
Guardian
a giant boss.
I was about to say, it's almost like
Shadow of the Colossus
very
kind of
much the opposite of Last Guardian as far as tone.
Yeah. I mean, between the war cries they have and apparently you can just snap into a first person mode to control the dragon every once in a while. But obviously, looking at this gameplay here, you see this giant, massive crab boss rising out of the water that we end up fighting. Bow and arrow. Apparently, there will be like firearms later that degrade over time. It's an RPG, action RPG. It's billed as, so be ranking up your character throughout, picking up new weapons. I'm sure. It looks fun, I would say, especially if they can kind of nail that dragon/human combat, almost like Titanfall. Maybe the balance between two different scales. Scalebound. What do you guys think of this game? Jake, did you play? Has any of us played any of this?
I haven't played it. I think it looks cool. I remember maybe it was this E3 or the last E3 they showed a demo, and it was running like garbage.
Yeah.
Like it had poor frame rate. It didn't look that good. But looking at this looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious like how long I'd actually be able to play this though. Like I feel like it might get monotonous after a while. But I mean the scale is definitely there.
The thing going for it, obviously, is Platinum Games. I mean, it always seems a little bit monotonous at first, just that kind of basic balance of range and close-up attacks. But then you keep playing these games like Bayonetta or Metal Gear Rising, and they just keep getting more nuanced as you go, and they know how to pace their game.
Or Legend of Korra, which was pretty bad.
I didn't play Legend of Korra.
They range so much. Like I don't know what to expect with Platinum Games. Either it's going to be great or it's just going to be like kind of dumpy.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, again, the most recent thing I played by them was Nier Automata preview. Again, we're talking about that later on the show, the live show, but it definitely looks like something I want to play just watching this. You get up close, and this is just boss fights, obviously. I'm sure not everything is as big, but I don't know what that was.
I have a hard time understanding what exactly you're doing in this game, though. Is it an open world? I've seen clips of like you and the dragon like just out in a field and stuff, and then there's these boss battles. What is like the 3-word classification of this game?
So they're saying action RPG.
Okay.
So I don't know that it's going to be open world. Like Nier Automata will be. This might be kind of more a linear Devil May Cry thing with like these.
I feel like we've seen like sandbox areas for this.
Like because Bayonetta was entirely linear. Yeah, I remember.
There's supposed to be co-op too, right, or multiplayer or something.
Yeah, wasn't it 4 players taking on that boss during E3?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it looks promising. I'd like to see it in action. Obviously, not sure exactly when that releases. I can check that out.
But they've been working on it for a while too.
Definitely, yeah. So it's because they announced it a few years ago, right?
Yeah, it was like what it was. Is it like Gamescom or something like that? Like
definitely
3 years ago.
Yeah, there's no exact release date. It's still 2017 for Xbox One, Microsoft Windows. So hopefully we'll hear more about that. If not like before E3, then at E3 or something. Crackdown 3, which I think everybody kind of got excited about when they saw the Microsoft Azure powered destruction. Just essentially you can level the whole city if you're running. I think Pete Brown would be good to talk to about this. He understands like the technical components of it. But
yeah, what seemed like
destroy the city.
It was using a cloud server type of process where like each building in a certain area would be devoted to a server and operate on the cloud. So like if you were blowing up one building, they basically asked, I think I saw up to like they had like a debug and they were showing like up to like 12 different servers when like you were leveling like like a whole block. That game looks insane. They were showing like footage of like a guy basically just like shooting a wall and was able to create a hole to snipe out of. The destructible environment of that whole city sounds insane.
Ambitious, but
ambitious.
if they can pull it off, definitely fun. The first Crackdown I played a lot. That was one of my early Xbox 360 games. That was like that and Call of Duty 2, if I recall correctly. I did not like the second one all that much. It felt really repetitive in what you were asked to do. But yeah, just once you start getting all those agility orbs and just, this is like a behind the scenes documentary we're watching, but once you get all those agility orbs, you could leap like up 20-story buildings with one jump. You just become so overpowered in the best way. And combining that with these destructible environments that they're promising sounds pretty awesome.
Well, like if you sit on a building, wouldn't you just level the building and then pick it up off the ground?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of the opposite of what I would want to do, just destroy everything.
And tack on the fact that it was I believe it was co-op that they showed footage of, like I forget where I saw it, but
yeah, all of them have been co-op, so I'm pretty sure this one, I mean, it makes sense for this one to be co-op as well.
It'd be weird. That's one of its tenets. I would be surprised if they kind of just did without it this time.
Yeah, Crackdown was like one of the first sort of open world games that had co-op. I thought that was so cool when that came out.
Great.
Like, do you do like, I don't know, LAN connection and just like be screwing around the city with a friend?
Yeah, it took a while to wrap your head around the fact that you could do that with games back in like 2007 or whatever it was. But yeah, this looks promising to say the least. It's just, I don't know, no other games have kind of like tried to do this yet with the cloud. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. It's just this domino effect.
Watching
across
it,
the city.
Obviously this is pre-alpha, but I'm really curious to see what they end up doing with like NPCs or creating people in this city, right? Because sure, leveling it would be a whole lot of fun, but you know,
just people going about their daily business,
or is it just empty? You know, I mean, that won't be that obviously, but I'm just curious to see like the actual city in like operation.
What was the deal with the first two games? There were NPCs all over the city, right?
There weren't,
few.
or like not many, right?
Yeah, there weren't many.
No, not a lot.
Didn't the second one, there was like a zombie outbreak or
that was the
something
whole thing.
like,
You were going to these zombie nests and then figuring out how to destroy those. I don't know what the actual like civilian population was like. I imagine the first game wasn't too populated if it was like a early Xbox 360 game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to that though.
Yeah.
Another one we have listed here, which is not just like Xbox One exclusive, Prey, which I am really, really excited for, mainly because I love Dishonored 2, which I just finished, and it's also Arcane Studios. It's following in the vein of Looking Glass games, Deus Ex, Thief, System Shock, that kind of first-person choice and consequence, like story-driven adventure. Dishonored 2 is, we keep talking about it around the office. It's a great game that we really enjoyed. I myself really like. I loved the first Dishonored. Prey is the other side of Arcane Studios. So Harvey Smith, being creative director of Dishonored 2, Raph Colantonio over in France will be heading up Prey, or is heading up Prey. I can't wait for this. I mean, it's cool. Like the story itself, the premise is cool. So essentially it's based on the fact that JFK survived the assassination on 11/22/63 and then like continued pouring funds into space research. So to the point where we were actually like pretty progressive in space, and then aliens took notice. So then you are Morgan Yu on a space station, which again, this is all just System Shock, like on a space station. The original Prey on 360, which I didn't play much. I think people kind of consider it a cult classic, right?
I've played it.
Yeah, I remember being sick because you'd like run up like upside down and like be running around.
That was like a launch title, wasn't it?
It was close to launch. I think it was like a couple months after.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, this one you can transform into coffee mugs. You can, just to get through space. It just looks wacky. It seems like Dishonored 2, but obviously sci-fi and just on acid.
Also dark. Like the whatever alien villain it is in this game looks creepy as all hell. Like like something out of a dream or a nightmare. Excuse me.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I mean, it seems like combining kind of the isolation of Alien and that choice-driven gameplay of Dishonored, those games I mentioned, the Looking Glass vein of games that people have been so affected by, even like Origin systems back in the day. I can't wait for this. I don't know if this has an actual release date yet. I think Prey is, 2017 right now, but it just looks like it's going all out, like batshit crazy with things you could do, and then obviously you're getting like these sci-fi weapons that are becoming kind of iconic. Yeah. I didn't play that original one.
The story too, like it seems more interesting than Dishonored 2. Like Dishonored's world, I think is one of the best things about that game, but the story was kind of weak. And this, at least judging by like the trailer they've showed, they've shown, the premise seems super interesting. Like I feel like they could do something really cool with this story.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this is not a Xbox One exclusive per se. It's on PS4 and Microsoft Windows as well. But figured we would slide it into this segment because we got a lot of PS4 and Xbox One games to talk about. But anyway, I don't know about you guys. You missed anything else? I mean, we're talking about Mass Effect Andromeda on the PC section. Ukulele. Do you guys play? Were you big fans of Banjo Kazooie and Tooie?
Yeah, I definitely played Banjo Kazooie. I played that. What'd they call it?
The toy box or something.
Toy box. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, granted, that was just, essentially the ability just to kind of try out the movement and get a very general idea of maybe, what that game would feel like. I don't know. People, it's was it crowdfunded or
Yep.
yeah. I mean, that's all good. I think people are really excited for it, and I'm definitely happy people are. I just don't see much value personally out of it. I mean, it just looks exactly like Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, but yeah, like you said, I'm excited because it's kind of reviving the 3D platformer, which is all but almost disappeared in recent years, except for like Knack, or that has a sequel, so maybe it is coming back. Who knows? But I played about an hour of this actually when I was over in London. Playtonic showed me a section of the game. They just kind of let me wander around and collect. I forget what so obviously it was like jigsaw pieces in Banjo Kazooie and Tooie. I was collecting like pages in this. It felt really good. Some camera issues, which obviously like 3D platformers, are made or broken by their cameras, like The Last Guardian. But I'm looking forward to it. This isn't an Xbox One exclusive. It's releasing on all platforms, but
I totally was gonna say that. That was the one like major gripe where at what point for like any kind of third person game do you allow a camera to like auto turn or auto follow? Because it felt like it was really stiff in that toy box. At least I played. Like you just felt like you were fighting the camera and it was getting lodged in like walls and stuff. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they address that.
And then one I do want to mention as well, I didn't really have a ton of fun with the first Battlefront. Not the first Battlefront, but like the 2015
EA
reboot, the EA Battlefront. They are slated for 2017 release, or at least like rumored or whatever. Battlefront 2 will be releasing. I don't know what to expect from it. I think we've heard some things about this. I don't know what we're supposed to talk about yet, so I'm not even going to risk anything. But
well, yeah. I mean, I know what I want.
What do you want?
I want campaign.
Yeah.
Duh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I want like a Galactic Conquest type of idea.
Yes.
With that,
Please.
because that was
the best
most
mode
addicting
in
part.
2.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, in both those games,
Space
but
battles.
Space battles would be great.
Just being able to switch sides and just like have a completely different tone to everything.
I mean, Rogue One releases in 2 days. You have Force Awakens out already. We know, it just seems like Star Wars is in full-on push. It seems weird not to take advantage of of all these new stories, that are kind of coming out in each of these movies. A campaign would make sense.
And that is the biggest, I would say, maybe an overall gripe with a lot of these Star Wars games lately. And you could even vouch for some of the latest movies. This is a franchise that I think I don't even want to call it franchise, a universe that so many people adore. However, what's getting tiresome is seeing so much of that original trilogy. Come on, let's take some liberties. Let's push things forward.
Yeah.
Battlefront lacked in that, and even some of the DLC that came afterwards, just like the last one, is an X-wing. You're in space, and what do you get to fly? Just an X-wing.
Yeah.
Come on. This is a B-wing. There are so many things as far as an arsenal that you could have and create that you're just not seeing a lot of creativity in that you could also vouch that that's the reason why Lucasfilm, maybe that's the roadblock, right? You have to go through them, and it's very tight, and as it should be. It's canon. You got to adhere to the rules. But
imagine EA and DICE though could probably get access to that pretty easily though.
And just to keep vamping on that, the Star Wars X-wing VR mission that came out with Battlefront. Those guys who made the game were able to basically design an X-wing cockpit and then show it to Lucasfilm, and they said, "That's awesome. This is now canon."
Yeah.
I interviewed those guys at one of the last preview events, and it was freaking awesome. There are people who are, I feel kind of taking that route, but I'm just sick and tired of an AT-AT.
Hoth.
Thank you, Hoth. Can we get off that planet? And just maybe the idea of like an AT-AT and Walker's Salt, like just like an unbalanced, I don't know, premise that it's just tired. It's just been done. Like I just want Battlefront to be something new.
Well, what about, so the original Battlefront 2, they started incorporating the prequel trilogy.
That's fine by me. Yeah.
And if it's just like all military stuff, then that's fine, as long as you don't get too much into the story of the prequels. That's where you kind of enter rocky waters. But do you think that, like, you just played DLC recently? Can you talk about it yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you
it's out right
Wasn't
now.
It
yeah.
Rogue One?
It was Rogue One, yeah.
So do you think they'll take more advantage of that in Battlefront 2? Because I'm reading early reviews from all like major publications saying Rogue One's pretty good.
Right.
And there's apparently like the third act. Well, I won't even say it, but like apparently there's a lot of cool like choreographed battles and like special effects, and the battles themselves are actually much larger scale than you might think based on trailers in Rogue One that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll take advantage of that with Battlefront 2.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just time. Like, you know, you look at Battlefront, and I think even frankly this DLC wasn't all that outstanding to me, and you just get the real obvious indication that these are games that were stripped of a single player campaign in order to make Force Awakens deadline, right? Like once I think, and hopefully, you know, like you have like Respawn working on some Star Wars title, like once we can get, I'd say like another year in, maybe Battlefront, like hopefully they're doing, you know, spending a lot more time on it.
Yeah.
That we can start seeing some really cool Star Wars games. I just feel like now it's like, it's back. Star Wars is back. Let's like mass produce this franchise like a Marvel case, and games are like following behind it. And that's the problem, is like, you know, a game doesn't like come out in a year.
Sure.
Like,
this isn't really platform centric, but obviously like the Star Wars game that Amy Hennig is working on, I can't wait for that. I don't know if it's going to be 2017 or not. That used to be 1313. She's working on it with Visceral Studios, so we'll see what happens with that. Maybe we'll hear more about that next year, but of course that's going to be very narratively driven, knowing Amy Hennig's experience with, you know, like the Uncharted franchise as an example.
that's exciting.
But yeah, so obviously we wish we had more time, but those are a handful of our favorite our most anticipated Xbox One games coming out in 2017. So if we missed any, or we have any major ones that you wanted to talk about, leave your thoughts in the comments below.